I lost my sense of smell one night as I was smoking a cigarette poolside at the apartment building when I noticed a plastic shopping bag blowing in the breeze. I rose to capture it, followed it into the shadows, then awoke face down in the pool with my left shoulder dislocated and an injury to my head. I spent quite a bit of time trying to ascertain exactly what happened that night. I believed that the bag was bait for a trap and that, once I was lured into the shadows, I was knocked unconscious, had my shoulder dislocated, then was thrown into the pool face down. It didn't seem a reasonable thought at the time that I was accosted and mistreated as such. I wasn't aware of any serious enemies at the time, but my memory increases with the passage of time, and I think I may have come up with a possible explanation. The Adam Project. I described the visual arts piece that I wanted to produce, and it drew a few interested people. I wanted to make a 3D moving hologram of a figure melting, then run the series in reverse, having the figure unmelt. People were intrigued at the notion, but the technology wasn't in place at the time. We could, however, do a 2D movie of a detailed, life-size human figure melting. The figure could be obtained through the lost wax technique, and we would merely need full-body plaster casts made. I have personally been involved with plaster face casting and had a plaster copy of my face to show the intricate detail possible with this method. One option would have been for a sculptor to model a human figure in wax, but I did not have that skill, so we set about making a plaster body cast. I'm not sure if a viable one was ever produced, as the project got cancelled. But before it got cancelled, it drew some attention. What materials were we going to use that would produce a satisfactory melting process? We had planned to use an amalgam of gold and mercury. We originally planned for a figure about 5 inches tall, as we had enough gold in the chemistry department to accommodate that. But we would be greatly reducing detail were we to size the figure down, and besides, we hadn't quite invented a suitable scaling technique at the time. Who would have the gold in quantity we needed? The chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee at the time, Ted Stevens, said it wasn't possible. Maybe I should ask the Pope. He might have been being facetious, but I took the advice at face value. At the time, we were striving to assure the success of the nascent internet, and I realized that we could run both projects with the same angle. If we could get the Vatican online, I would send an email to the Pope asking for gold. People responded to first emails. This was a new and wondrous thing, and first emails had to be tailored to their subjects. The email I sent to Susan Powder, one of the earliest individuals to connect to the internet, suggested that peanut brittle, with its low fat ratio, might be a suitable food. She was incensed. "Peanut brittle is candy," she said on the air, but it got people to note the internet. I sent Rush Limbaugh an email suggesting that he design a line of loud ties. He responded by dialing my number and briefly interviewing me about this new thing, the internet. Also, he did take my emailed advice and started his own line of loud ties. The artist formerly known as Prince actually showed up at my office, curious about the proffered free public relations advice I emailed to him. At first he wasn't sold on the idea of a name change, but, because I'm not totally full of shit, I said, "Wait until you see this book." It was a special book flown in from God knows where for the occasion. I took him to the periodical section on the 3rd floor of the Hamilton Library and brought the book to him. He was enthralled. He wanted to know if the public had access to the book, as that would have demeaned the choice of symbol. "No," I said, "the public does not have access to this book." He wanted to know where in the library it was normally kept. He scoffed when I said that it was kept on the 4th floor. "There is no 4th floor," he said. I assured them that there was, and showed him where the elevator was, behind the science reference desk. So the Pope's first email read, "Please send some gold." The Vatican's response was, "How much?" I described the purpose and got interest generated. The gold would be returned in full, I assured him. We could even fashion a fig leaf for the naughty bits. Thus the paperwork was initiated for the transfer of an enormous fortune in gold. I think you will learn a valuable lesson, he assured me. Within days, I had heard through the grapevine about the supposedly secret transaction. Did the robbers show up yet? He asked. I told him that they did. I was never sure if the transaction had been completed, as I was out of the loop at that point. But on a crucial night, about a half-dozen miscreants showed up. A small, dark car, a motorcycle, a guy with a skateboard, and a black van, supposedly to haul the gold. The chemistry department was fully aware that the stockroom was being robbed. Dr. Tias came to me and said, "This is your responsibility. Get rid of them." So I took Dr. Liu's laser pointer, which was rare high-tech at the time, and got Mukta to stand with it by the window in her second-story laboratory. Then I went and faced the robbers. I told them that as far as I know, the transfer had been cancelled. We had nothing of real value, and to please go away. The leader had a mean expression on his face. "Are you here alone?" he asked. "No, I have somebody at the window," I said, and pointed. The light was off, and suddenly you could see a bright pinpoint of red light. At that time, the only use of lasers known to the public was the laser sighting on some sniper rifles. "Is that a rifle?" he asked. I said, "No, it was just a laser. We do have rifles, though." "How many rifles?" he asked. I said that I honestly didn't know. More than one, though, and that there were about a dozen grad students in the building, all with ready access to a telephone. I guess we won, because they went away empty-handed. But no, I was assured, the problem has just begun. Now we had to ferret out the source of the information, as this had all the hallmarks of an inside job. In the course of ferreting, I was clobbered and left to die in the pool